Hello EFD squad and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football as selected by you. Joining me today is Doug, it's Zach. We're kind of like Niko Kovac's Bayern, a bit of a rotation policy going on here, which is
it's not his first time.
Ironic because we're discussing them first. And the first question comes from literally that guy, and he's asked, do you think that the poor form of Bayern could lead to a renaissance in the Bundesliga? Now, it didn't appear to be the case at the start of the season when they went 7 games unbeaten, chasing their best ever start, which was, of course, under Jupp Heynckes when they went 9 games unbeaten, I think at the start of 2012-13, if memory serves me correctly. But now, Kovac is under some serious pressure, isn't he, lads? They haven't won any of their last 4 games in all competitions, drawing 2, losing 2, including their last 3 Bundesliga games. 1-1 against Augsburg, a 2-0 loss to Hertha Berlin, and a 3-0 loss, which has sort of compounded their month of misery at home to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Now, they only lost 4 games at home. They only lost 4 games in full
in the entirety.
Last season. Already lost 2 in their first 7. So, first of all, what do we think to Bayern at current? What are the problems? Why is Kovac all of a sudden struggling? And what do we think to the rest of the Bundesliga? Because, of course, Dortmund have come good in the last few months. Yeah. RB Leipzig have as well, and so have Gladbach. Starting with you, Duke, because you wrote the script, so hopefully you'll lead the charge, you know.
Yeah, well, I sometimes have an issue with modern football. After a few bad results, every manager's instantly under pressure. He's gone into a massive job from Eintracht Frankfurt. It was always going to be a difficult period of adaptation. They've had a really bad luck with injuries as well. Toliso's done his ACL, Koeman's done his knee, Rafinha's still not back as well. And it's exposed them sort of a lack of depth almost. But having watched the highlights of the Gladbach game, they were sort of their own worst enemy, to be honest. Neuer passed the ball to Thiago when he wasn't really looking. He then got done on the half turn. Alisson turned Süle really easily. Hummels made a mistake for the third. It just was a really sort of tragic performance.
Here's a little stat you might appreciate. Neuer has the 2nd worst save percentage in the Bundesliga this campaign.
Really?
So not a good start for him.
Not a good start
post
at all.
That big old injury and that, quite frankly, terrible World Cup.
Yeah. And they're looking a bit thin in certain areas. They've only got Kimmich and Alaba as available fullbacks at the moment.
Yes.
Because Juan Bernat moved to PSG on deadline day. And Rafinha's still not fit. I mean, Jerome Boateng can play at right back and left back, but it's not really his best.
It now.
Yeah, not really his best position.
Damning.
So it's not looking too good. But the underlying stats aren't actually too worrying. They took 17.7 shots a game last season. That's only gone down to 17.6, so not a massive dramatic downturn. And their shots conceded per game has actually gone down to 7.1 from 8.5. So maybe this is just a weird sort of mesh of players not quite in form, players not quite firing. Lewandowski hasn't looked at his usual best. He's only averaging 2 shots per game.
Well, they've not really got a backup plan for when Lewandowski doesn't.
Exactly.
It's always either been, okay, let's see what Ribéry and Robin can do, and now they're getting on, as we say, every other year, or Thomas Muller. And apart from that, I think Tolisso scored a couple last season. Apart from that, it was mainly Lewandowski banging them all in. So they brought in Serge Gnabry as well, but...
Yeah, like you're both sort of alluding to, their age is a problem in this Bayern side. The
100%.
average age of the squad is over 28, and when you compare that to Dortmund, to Leipzig, who are top of the table at current, then I think it's 25 and 24 respectively.
Wow.
So,
Good God.
like you said, brought in Goretzka, brought in Gnabry, but is that a sufficient level of talent to replace the output of an ageing Robin and Ribéry? Doesn't help that Toliso's done his ACL. He was vital at points for them last season, especially in the early stages when he was scoring a lot of goals. And this rotation policy that he's sort of enforced has kind of put his neck on the line. Uli Hoeneß has actually said as much. I think he said it post the Gladbach game and lost 3-0 that, well, I think that's verbatim. He said the manager is putting his neck on the line with this policy. Now, Kovac hasn't named a consistent starting lineup in consecutive games at all in this Bundesliga season. I think the last 5 games have yielded 5 different starting 11s.
My Lord.
And the youngest player to feature against Gladbach was Kimmich and Süle, in fact, both 23. So there definitely needs to be turnover come January, come the summer, doesn't there? When, I suppose, I think they've been stockpiling. I think they will go and shot big. But I think age, consistent starting 11, and just bad luck. I mean, they've taken 53 shots in the last 3 games and scored 1 goal.
I think what's quite interesting as well is I read that basically like last year, James Rodriguez came out and said the training isn't vigorous enough. And he said that the player said that exactly the same about Carlo Ancelotti, and then he got the boot. In came Jupp Heynckes. I have this feeling that maybe
already used the Jupp Heynckes lifeline, haven't they? They
Yeah,
actually
this is what I was gonna say.
tried to make him stay on for this year. Kovac wasn't their first option. It went Heynckes staying on, then it went Tuchel, and then it went Kovac.
Because
And maybe even Nagelsmann in there as well.
might run out of patience with him quite quickly.
literally,
You were saying.
the problem was like, if what happens now, if it does get to a point where they're like, okay, we need to sack Kovac, they can't bring Heynckes back in again.
A lot of the players are very complimentary about Kovac when he first came to the club, though. I remember Ribéry and David Alaba coming out and saying that Kovac had brought fresh, new, clear ideas, and they're all very happy with it. And the only player who's really noised any discontent is James Rodriguez, who has said, we're not Eintracht Frankfurt. Like, why are you enforcing this rotation? Now, the rotation obviously has something to do with the age. Is he protecting this old guard?
How many
I think
injuries?
7 of the Champions League winning squad from 2012-2013 are still in this team, still starting.
crazy.
So, to be fair to Kovac, he probably does have to be wary of how many minutes these players clock up. However, James Rodriguez did score and played well, and then was dropped against, I think it was Augsburg.
It's difficult for players to get any sort of rhythm.
Momentum,
going.
Yeah.
Under a
rhythm,
new manager, new ideas coming in, you want to get game time. I mean, look at Sarri in Chelsea. He's pretty much kept the same 11.
However, I feel that could be like come winter, that could be a problem. If he doesn't start rotating, like short on Sarri, but if he doesn't start rotating, that could be an issue for Chelsea in the future.
But I feel sorry for Kovac as well in many ways. I mean, I know he's got the best job in German football, but that squad, as Chris intimated, hasn't been developed enough. And I think that as a club, they've shown a lack of ambition. I don't know why. In the modern age, Tolisso is your record signing at, I think, about 35 million, which is, you're trying to win Champions Leagues, you're trying to compete with the big dogs of European football. That's not going to happen unless you start spending in this new environment post-Neymar that's been created. They hoover up domestic talent, which is fantastic for their dominance in the Bundesliga. But the top European talent hasn't really arrived at Bayern
Since Koeman?
Since Koeman, Thiago, Lewandowski, those sort of players, but not consistent enough on a consistent enough basis, I would argue anyway.
It does make it interesting again, though.
Yeah.
Like Bayern might not win another title for this year and possibly next year.
Well, I wouldn't bet against it, but that performance against Ajax was when the knives really started to sharpen. Of course, Ajax registering 5 shots on target, only the 3rd or 4th team to do that in the last, I think since it was reformatted as the Champions League, so since '92. So an alarming sort of dip in form at home in the Champions League against opposition that should probably be dispatching. Ajax were brilliant that game. Dusan Tadic was running the show.
And De Ligt had Lewandowski in his pocket as well.
Yeah,
really impressive.
I mean, De Ligt and Frenkie de Jong apparently going to Barcelona for a combined 130 million next year, and you can see why. Like the way De Ligt has beefed out.
He looks like he's only 19, but yeah,
I know,
like a brick
absolute giant. But revisiting Bayern, because after that Gladbach game, I saw an article by James Walker-Peters, wherein he was sort of comparing Kovac's start to Ancelotti's second season, and was saying that, referencing things like Uli Hoeneß saying that Kovac said on the chopping block, saying that it's not beyond Bayern to replace their manager very early doors. If they feel they've made a mistake, they'll swallow the pride and they'll move on.
I just feel sorry for him.
And 2 names that have been referenced are Zinedine Zidane, as with every other top job in Europe at the moment, and Antonio Conte, who would be a very LVG-style Bayern manager, wouldn't he? And that isn't what the Bayern fans want.
No, I think that'd be a strange point.
They wanted to bring Pep in to reverse that sort of having 70% of the ball but still winning 1-0 kind of conservative brand of football, and it worked. And I don't think Conte's a particularly good fit, but he's a winning coach, and his Champions League record a little bit suspect. But what do you guys think to Zinedine Zidane?
I think Zidane would be potentially a really good fit. He would instantly command respect in that dressing room just because of his playing career and his recent achievements. Obviously, we don't need to go into them. Everyone knows about his just incredible Champions League success over the last 3 years. Instantly command respect. I just don't know whether he'd make the difference in Europe. We haven't seen him fully tested, and I do think we need to see him under the microscope in big games, making tactical decisions to change the course of the game. I still haven't been that impressed with his tactics.
What, even in the Champions League?
Even in the Champions League. I think they got fairly lucky against PSG. I think PSG were really off colour in the quarter-final last year. And then the Juve, I think they won 3-1.
PSG are always off colour in the quarterfinal. I think they dispatched them pretty easily. Is it the second leg, 3-1?
Yeah, I think it's 3-1. Yeah, that was quite an impressive.
I quite liked his shift to 4-3-1-2 when he sort of put Isco as his floating 10 midway through the season. But
he'd get the absolute phenomenal. He'd make Thiago ridiculous.
Do Bayern need that sort of high-level tactician? Like you said, I think
he'd be perfect.
They have the personnel to blow away most teams in the Bundesliga.
100%.
Can have that sort of pedigree and that mentality in the squad where I think, getting to a Champions League quarter-final is expected. Obviously, been unlucky in the semi-finals. Reached 4 out of the last 5 or something? And lost to the eventual winners on most of those occasions. Yeah. But you don't think...
A lot of Barca, a lot of Real Madrid, and then,
I mean, the worrying thing is he has a Lewandowski, but Lewandowski's had... prolific spells in Europe have been few and far between, I think, for Lewandowski.
Yeah.
More so now,
particularly last year when they lost in the semi-finals, he got rinsed a lot. He carried a lot of the blame for that. He does get scapegoated when they lose in semi-finals.
But then Zidane might get the best out of him due to his ability to be such a great man manager.
Yeah.
I really want to know more about him as a man manager.
Because you can't really
he's
tell
a great
much.
man manager. I want to know why he's a great man manager.
I think it's because of his legendary status as a footballer. And then, as you said, when he walks in, you guys know this is Zinedine Zidane, the man that's won everything, basically.
Well, he's still under, Gareth Bale's complained a lot about that. I think he, as every manager does, he has his favourites, he has his players 100%. In his team. There'll always be disgruntled people in the dressing room. I don't think he's some sort of messiah of man managing. But I think he would, I think he would be a good fit for Bayern. I just wouldn't be that wowed with the appointment. And then Conte, I think, wouldn't be a good fit in
He'd win the league, but it'll be boring.
Wise. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I hope that he gets a good amount of time, because I think after 7 games, I think it's ridiculous to be under this much pressure. I mean, I think they're only 4 points off Dortmund.
I mean, the only other exceptional candidate I can think that's out of a job at the moment is Leonardo Jardim, who's recently parted ways with Monaco.
Or Mourinho.
I suppose that's not really where he's excelled, is it, with managing an older squad full of egos? But again, that's very loose analysis. Anyway, who would you like to see at Bayern Munich? Vote in the poll above: Antonio Conte, Zidane, or give Kovac more time? The third option, the reasonable option.
Come on, Kovac.
So, last question before we go into quick fire comes from @BP Cristiano 7, and he's asked, who are the surprise packages so far in Europe's top 5 leagues? Now, we've all gone away. All of us, Doogie, not just you.
Yeah.
Right, it was definitely just Doogie.
100%.
And picked one team each to hone in on. Now, you've gone for Lille, which I was a little bit surprised about before I saw the league and table. So, the third best attack, the second best defence, sitting second in the table, sitting pretty in front of the likes of Marseille and Lyon, who are shipping goals for fun at the moment. Zach, can you tell me what's going so well at LOSC?
Well, what makes it even more impressive considering they're second now, so they finished 17th last season, just above Toulouse, who had to play a relegation playoff. On top of that, they've won 6 of their opening 9 games, even beating Marseille 3-0. As
really
you said, Marseille shipping goals along with Lyon. Lyon also conceded a lot against PSG, so that might be a bit harsh to say. But and plus they've also lost a lot of players. Basuma went off to Brighton and Amadou went off to Sevilla. They brought in like Remy, which was okay, and Jose Fonte from China. Whether I qualify him as a quality signing is another thing.
But some experienced heads.
Yeah, some experienced heads, which I guess has helped. But one main man who's been great for them is Nicolas Pepe, or aka Danny Pape for FDSC.
Danny Pape's cousin.
Yeah, he scored 6 goals and got 4 assists so far in the league. And only Neymar and Mbappe have got more
Pretty good company scheme.
in Europe as well. So he's the 3rd best in Europe, which is quite impressive. He's taking about 4.6 shots a game and making 2 key passes a game as well. So he's definitely proven really well. On top of that, they've also got a guy called Jonathan Bamba, who's scored 7 goals and got 1 assist in 9 appearances in the league. So they've got
7 goals.
So this is it. So I think as much as maybe they've been great, they've relied a lot on these 2 key
Couple players running really hot.
Really.
I'd like to
Exactly.
check the underlying numbers for sure.
Yeah, because I kind of feel as much as we want to say, yeah, they'll finish second, I think as obviously Marseille and Lyon will probably buck up their ideas and get up there.
I did see that when I was doing a bit of research for this, Jonathan Bamba is massively over-exceeding his expected goals. He's supposed to have 3.8 and he's got 7.
Not too bad.
Pato lives on in spirit.
Love you, Pat. But I also saw, I was doing a transfer talk a couple of weeks ago, and Nicolas Pepe has been heavily linked with a move to Arsenal.
Really?
Whether that move comes a bit too soon, because this is his first season of really shining.
I haven't heard of this kid at all.
Yeah, I think he's only 22, 23. Winger. And he'd be an interesting addition at Arsenal because they do lack a bit of wide talent, actually. But I'm going to talk about Borussia Mönchengladbach because they started the season really, really impressively. They're third at the moment. They've got 4 wins and 1 defeat from their opening 7 games, and they're only 3 points off top spot, which is obviously Borussia Dortmund. And we weren't really expecting a big season from them at all because they finished 9th in the last 2 seasons. But they've already taken some massive scalps. They've beaten Bayer Leverkusen, who finished 5th. They've beaten Schalke, who finished 2nd last season. Eintracht Frankfurt, who finished 8th. And, of course, that game we were talking about, Bayern Munich, absolutely dismantled and Alisson play on fire. And their manager is Dieter Hecking. He used to manage Wolfsburg, and he actually won a DFB Pokal with them.
Is he the guy with the amazing eyebrows?
Yes, he looks sort of like a bear.
So did he manage Kevin De Bruyne?
He would have. I think it was exactly that spell, actually. And he took over in December 2016 when they were in 14th, stabilised them to 9th. And last season, they had an awful run in the winter time, but managed to recover and finish 9th. So we weren't really expecting big things from this year. They lost Vestergaard, who went to Southampton, I believe, for 25 million euros, who hasn't really shone so far at Southampton. And they've really cleverly invested that. They've bought an Alisson play for 23 million. And he's been so good so far. He's scored 5 goals in 477 minutes, which is 1 goal every 95 minutes.
And you find quite often in the Bundesliga outside of Bayern, it is that smart business that can supercharge your season or lack of it that will see you drop out of the European spots.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Leipzig, Dortmund, Schalke now. Sort of made some decent signings last season, didn't they? Finishing 2nd, but falling off a bit of a cliff.
Yeah, definitely.
This year.
I just want to do a quick
please.
mention to Thorgan Hazard, who started the season really well as well. It's really good to see he's coming out of his brother's shadow slightly. He's now 25. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist.
Well, he went to the
far.
World Cup, didn't he, last season?
He did.
Didn't he play as a fullback at some point?
Yeah, I think
against England.
I don't think he featured that much. And also, from what the Hazards have said, apparently they're not even the best ones. Like the youngest one is the best.
Really? Yeah, because there's 4 of them, isn't it?
4, yeah, there's also Killian. I think he's
incredible.
Much like the Jellos.
Yeah, much like the Jellos. I'd Sufyan and talk to Chelsea.
So keep your eye out for Sufyan. Could be in Football Mundial as you want to watch if he's still, still doing this in 10 years' time, which would be somewhat tragic. Anyway, I've gone for Sevilla, who top La Liga on 16 points at the moment, 5 wins from 8 games. 16 points, of course, the same amount of points that Bournemouth have in the Premier League, which alludes to the poor form of the top teams in La Liga. Yeah, they have. What a forward triumvirate.
We've also played a game more as well, to be fair.
We have. Good point. And much like Borussia Mönchengladbach, Sevilla have claimed some really impressive scalps at the start of this season. So they've beat Real Madrid already 3-0. That was 3-0 at half time as well. Madrid lucky to come out of that,
they were shambolic.
having not been punished a little bit more, yes. And I watched the Celta Vigo game and they played some lovely, intricate football, really making the difference at Sevilla this season. They look much more compact at the back and they are getting the best out of Andre Silva, who has got 7 and 8.
I think so,
Something roughly like that. And Wissam Ben Yedder is contributing to a goal every 70 minutes. In fact, only Barcelona have scored more than Sevilla's 18 league goals this campaign, just with 19. And the next best is Celta Vigo on 13. So
that's a big jump.
Them two pulling away, yeah. I mean, Real Madrid haven't scored
they
in
also
649 minutes.
That was slightly skewed, but they beat Levante 6-2 as well. Sevilla, so
Pop it.
Andre Silva got
battered. Levante, yeah. That was like match day 1 or 2. That was very early.
He levelled his total. He did at AC Milan in 1 game.
But their underlying numbers are pretty in line with the numbers they're producing. So it's not like they're running hot, a little bit like Borussia Mönchengladbach. And I think their expected goals are around 16 and they've scored 18. So just about level. And they should have conceded 8, but have conceded 11. So maybe been a little bit unfortunate at the back. Now, moving on to some of the signings they've made, because like with Gladbach, drawing a lot of parallels here, they made some very savvy signings in the summer. Now, they lost Lenglet to Barcelona. He was sort of the mainstay in that team, the defender who would step out with the ball. He had very good distribution, was always very heavily involved with play, averaging like 50, 60 passes a game. Has a cultured left foot, a little bit Piqué-esque in his sort of means of defending. But they lost Lenglet, they lost Nzonzi, so an experienced head there, and under a lot of previous managers, and Zonzi was vital to that Sevilla system, particularly Emery, when he would kind of sit back, step into that back three and allow the sort of wingers to bomb on. And Joaquin Correa to Lazio, who's always on the peripheries, not as good as the other Correa.
No.
Yeah,
And, I really like Sevilla's front line, actually. Really like. Sarabi has been playing excellently this season.
So good.
Such a little dynamo. Anyway, they brought in Quincy Promes from Spartak Moscow for 20 million euros. Ibrahim Amadou from Lille for 15, and brought back Alex Vidal for 8.5, I believe, which is not too bad. I mean, he was always an adequate utility man at right back for Barcelona. In fact, kept coming on at right wing at various points last season, which was a bit obscure. In the Semedo
He also
playing
got injured
games
as well for a while.
But, and then some decent loan signings like Roque Mesa, who was, of course, deemed surplus to requirements at Swansea inexplicably, and Andre Silva, who's finally found scoring form after scoring, 2 in Serie A last campaign. I think he got a shed load in the Europa League. But anyway, Ben Yedder, I think he's on 5, and Jesus Navas, the captain, in fact.
How's he still playing?
4 assists. He's an absolute legend down in
How's he
Andalusia.
still playing football?
None of his pace.
What is he, 34?
At
Must be,
least, probably 32.
I think Sarabia has 4 assists as well. So, creative from out wide and in central
Jesus
positions.
Navas has got really bad homesickness, so he never could leave.
Yeah, he got over that at Manchester City.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
But
Manchester City, and then really struggled because he got offers before that, and then turned them down for homesickness.
The Goblin, one of the best nicknames in football. The Goblin, because of his eyes. He's got lovely eyes.
He does have beautiful
Lose
eyes.
yourself in his eyes.
But what's our nicknames?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below.
Ooh, what a way to end. Thank you for getting your quickfire questions in this week. We had a shed load on Twitter. Remember to submit them below in the comments. Could leave them on Instagram.
Why not?
Field,
Could do.
They'll be used.
Or get at these handles on Twitter. Big up yourself for contributing. Anyway, let's jump into Messi Lover 69's.
Is it a Barcelona question?
Change that handle. It's rancid. Anyway, he's asked, should Barcelona sack Valverde and who should they replace him with? Now, Valverde's not enjoying the best start at the start of this season, is he? A little bit inconsistent. I have blown away sides. But he's already contemplating reverting back to the 4-4-2, which was the main problem last season. People saying he's playing conservative football, he makes odd substitutions, although I think some of the substitutions were very effective last season. In fact, I think maybe the odd substitutions allude to this season, bringing Dembele off, bringing Vidal off, keeping Rakitic on, or moving Rakitic to the right-hand side of midfield when he's better on the left, or vice versa. I've forgotten now. But it's the end of the show, so who cares? I think they've got to stick with him.
Yeah, they won the league last season.
They lost 1 game.
And they're second.
Yeah, but it's at Barcelona, it's not just about winning trophies, is it? I mean, what's his name? Tata Martino is about 3 games away from winning the treble.
Yeah.
It's about the brand of football they play, and I do admire that about them. And I know their fans can be a little
I
bit...
think they're too
But I thought
demanding.
against Spurs, they actually played really nice football. When they against Spurs, I thought obviously helped with Messi. Messi was obviously helped with Messi being absolutely ridiculous as well.
And against
but
PSV
I actually
as
thought
well.
they played lovely football. I haven't necessarily watched them so much in the league.
Was it 3-4-0?
4-0.
Still.
4-0, and Dembele scored that amazing goal.
Yeah.
They still say that Dembele and Valverde are not
At odds.
At loggerheads, not seeing eye to eye at all. But I'm with Zach. I think this is far too early. They smashed the league last year. I think they've got a really good chance in the Champions League because I think all teams around Europe, the big teams around Europe, none of them look, except for Juventus, probably like they're absolutely on top
I'd like
form
to see
yet.
City.
City. Even City, I don't think have really got going as much as they can. But they've obviously still got De Bruyne to come back as well. So I think it's too early to get rid of Valverde. I'd keep him.
Very few teams have the depth that Barcelona have, especially with people like Arthur making such good starts to their career at Barcelona. I think he's going to be a really, really good addition.
Really impressive how he's just seamlessly gone in there.
I don't think there's an adequate replacement though either.
People like Vidal haven't settled as well, but I kind of imagine that happening because the very sort of zonal at Barcelona. This is the area you're going to work in. I know that was more so under Pep than under Valverde. But Vidal has always been a little bit all action, hasn't he? But I mean, this is a guy with high match intelligence, and a guy who, when he was playing for Bayern last season, had really good attacking output, and they could use that, having lost the 10-12 league goals from Paulinho. Should have won a Ballon d'Or actually.
Oh my God, calm down. All right, next one.
Paulinho.
Good God.
They made his signing permanent, by the way, in China, for 10 million more than Barcelona bought him for.
We all knew that deal was. We all knew that deal was dodgy.
Washing money. Ozark vibes. Anyway, I've been told off saying vibes in a comment. I don't know what it is. I probably killed it. Anyway, Jack Roche. Next question. 97. Did Neymar make the wrong decision going to PSG?
No, I actually think it was a really good decision. though now he's in the shadow of Mbappe. I think he needs to leave after this season, though. I think if he wants to be in contention with the Ballon d'Or, he needs to return either to La Liga or the Premier League. I think that he needs to not prove himself, but come to the league and then absolutely kill it there as well. And I think there's no reason why he wouldn't win the Ballon d'Or. Unless Messi or
I think it's been a clever move commercially for 2 years to go to PSG if he leaves at the end of this year. I mean, he's now the most recognisable, probably talked about footballer in the world. He's done incredibly financially out of the move, obviously. But I think that, they're not going to win the Champions League this year. I'd be really surprised if they do. I'll put my neck on the line and say they won't right now. I don't think their midfield's good enough, and I don't think they've got enough.
Yeah. You don't think he just wants to
cover.
It's a problem with Marquinhos at 6 in the Champions League, fine domestically, but I just think Thiago Motta made them tick last year. Adrian Rabiot is having to do so much work in the midfield.
Mate, if I was him though, I'd want to be challenged.
Yeah.
If I knew I was one of the best players in the world, I want to be challenged, not just have a laugh in League One. And that's no disrespect to League One.
We do smash League One, and I used the phrase baguette farmers in hot takes, which
you farm baguettes?
Which was I mean,
you grow them?
A little bit over the top because
from the tree. If they're a bit ripe, they're still a bit doughy.
Because they have produced some of the best talent in world football at the moment. It's very fertile ground. That the competitive nature of it questionable, but it's the best it's been in recent years.
It's good for youth.
Coefficient climbing towards the Bundesliga.
I think their academies have definitely overtaken Germany's.
But so maybe we slag off League a little bit too much, but the gap between PSG and second is embarrassing.
Already.
This is it.
Yeah.
It's also because he's playing with so many amazing players around him. It's not like he's gone to PSG where it's him and then like the level of quality is like that. It's literally like that. Mbappe's right next to him.
He's going to Real Madrid. He's going to Real Madrid.
No, let's hope for the Premier League.
He's only passed to Cavani something like 15 times this year.
I actually read.
Passed to Mbappe something like 55.
I read he didn't make a single pass, and neither Mbappe as well, to Cavani against Lyon.
Is that just? I don't know whether that's just
there's this whole rumour. If you check out VFN that Cavani, that Mbappe and Neymar don't like Cavani.
But I don't think
which is mental.
They're thinking about playing a 4-4-2 with Neymar and Mbappe up top, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I'd be very surprised if Tuchel went for a 4-4-2. I think that might just be hearsay. And Edison Cavani has never been a striker who, I mean, maybe barring at Napoli, who joins in with play an awful lot. So at PSG, I think he's always averaged like 15, 16 passes a game, which is him dropping off and then bombing forward into the 6-yard area or hovering around the sort of penalty area where we know he's lethal.
But do you not think it's a bit weird though that he's not passed them to him or him to them in one game?
But he's not really a forward who's.
Give it to Neymar and then he'll make forward.
The build-up play is generated, like especially in the Tuchel side, it's from pace and it's out wide, isn't it? Or it comes from out wide and Mbappe just makes one of those lovely runs through from the last minute into the middle. But anyway, moving on. I think he's going to Real Madrid. Neymar. 2 years max.
I say either. I think I'd like to see him come to United. I think.
Really?
I say. Oh no. I meant more the Premier League, but I think United would be the ones that afford him or City.
Neymar to United.
Or
There's your
Chelsea.
title, Adam Templeman. He was saying to us, "Can you talk about something title-worthy today?" There it is.
Adam Templeman's just gone into cardiac arrest.
Next question comes from Fuck. So.
Believe that.
You need to calm down, mate.
Christ the Lord. How can you have that as an app?
Potty mouth. And he's asked, without a manager now, who should Monaco appoint and where does Jardim go? Will any top clubs want him, effectively?
I think Joe said many times he wants to be at United, but Joe will take anyone at United now, rather than if it's not Mourinho.
Joe wants Ed Woodward as manager, commercial director,
he would.
Everything.
He would. I think the move for Thierry Henry to Monaco is actually really cool.
I was saying this on Sunday Vibes, I'm going to let you take the floor because I've already talked about it.
I just think this could, Monaco now in a position where it can't get any worse. So why not bring
They've
in...
almost got a free hit on the season.
Yeah, literally. So why not bring in Thierry Henry, who is
18th.
obviously a legend, and we like to think will be very good as a manager. He coached, managed at Belgium. So I think that it's there for him to take. And as I said, as long as they don't get relegated,
there's never been a better time for him to take it.
Okay, I've got a little managerial merry-go-round that's just emerged in my
God,
head.
here we go.
Hand movement
Transfer talk has taken over.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Right.
Over there on the end.
Mourinho loses his job.
Okay, who's he go to?
England in a couple of years after a long break with his wife.
Perfect.
Pochettino moves into Man United job. Jardim to Spurs. Lovely fit. Really
and then
nice.
Henry too.
And then I don't really care about Henry. He can go to Villa after Dean Smith gets fired.
What, assistant manager JT?
So that's, I think, Hardin at Spurs. I'm really pleased with myself. I think that's a really good shout. Yeah. Loves the young talent. I think it's a great fit.
I like Pochettino to United.
I don't. That'd be too good.
I think that's actually a lot more feasible than it sounds.
I'm enjoying this bad
Harding
United
to
though,
Spurs.
so much.
Last one from Miloslav Vasilejevi 7. He's asked, could Inter Milan win the Champions League? I wasn't going to ask this because to me that sounds ridiculous.
Spell out
Only
no.
just
Spell
scraped
out
it
no with
last
me.
season. Terrible start to the Serie A campaign.
I know.
So what do we think?
No.
Oh, we're doing it in the medium of.
Yeah, we've returned to school. We feel
Sign
about 6
language.
again. I think this
Philip,
is silly, but it's quite a nice idea. I mean, if they get out of the group with Spurs and Barcelona, which I think they probably will. But I mean, we're already talking about potential winners struggling to get out of their group, so it doesn't really make sense now I've said it. But they really didn't have a strong team in 2010. They were sort of carried by an incredible Diego Milito campaign, and Schneider was playing insanely well at that moment as well. They've arguably got a stronger
Their defence was almost impregnable though that season.
Yeah, true. But I think their defence
Walter
right now
Samuel and
is Walter Samuel.
Did you say Zidane goal, was it?
Was
Yeah.
Mike on at foot still in, before he had his
Samuel
City
Eto'o was an
meltdown.
auxiliary left winger, which
Yeah,
worked
definitely.
beautifully.
Cambiasso in midfield. No,
Actually, they actually had a good team.
it was a good side. It was a good side. I slightly take that back. But if Icardi gets on a hot run of form in Europe, he's taken to it really
They
well
are
so
so
far.
dependent on Icardi.
Definitely.
You see, I don't know who they played at the weekend. I watched it though. Oh, I can't remember. Some
Spal?
obscure. It might have been Spal.
Doesn't sound
It
entertaining.
was
Spal?
2-1 to Inter Milan, and Icardi scored one quite fortuitous goal, got a bit of deflection, and one ridiculous goal. And they're still hammering in the crosses from out wide. Candreva, actually, I think one was a lovely through ball from Perisic, but Candreva, Perisic, Icardi. There's still a lack of cohesion in that side. And Nainggolan got his first goal in Europe.
He did.
Recently, but they're nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near.
I thought with their signings, it felt like they were going to go all out for this year in the league and the Champions League because they were back in it. But I didn't think De Vrij, was it De Vrij that went?
De Vrij.
De Vrij,
De Vrij's done there from Lazio.
When he went, I thought it was a really good move, but yeah, they've just been
Good
not
defence,
great.
haven't they? They've got De Vrij, Skriniar.
Who's lower left back? Can't think. But yeah, really solid defence. But yeah, not going to win the Champions League.
So who is everyone's likely candidate to win the Champions League? That's what we're going to end on.
I said,
I'm going to go for Barcelona.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's a sensible answer, especially if Messi carries on the way he is. I actually read something recently how when Messi, obviously when he was younger, like 23, 24, his diet was stupidly bad.
Really?
He was having Coke, not soda,
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
eating ridiculous amounts of meat.
No libel.
Which for those of you who don't know, like if you eat a lot of meat, obviously it's harder for your muscles to break down. And now, basically, apparently people at Barcelona were very worried about how long his career would last. And so they got him in touch with this nutritionist. And now he just eats like brown. He's so strict, and the reason that he's still so good, they claim, is due to his diet.
So you think he's going to age well?
I think
that's probably a safe bet.
He's on the rice and beans.
I gave a reasoning for it though, so that you can tell your mates that knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, nice anecdote. Didn't know that. Didn't know he was a bit of a pig when he was 23.
Yeah,
but
he was eating. Apparently, Pep Guardiola had to move the drink fountain from the soda machine because he'd just keep going up in midway through like press conference.
Messi,
we went on a tour around the Masia, and it is so Spartan. They've got one PlayStation. They lock it away for all but like 1 hour a day, and they've got one foosball table which looks older than time itself. Like the actual things are still made of like marble.
Really?
And it is all about training. It's nothing about lifestyle.
I remember you and Jay saying it was like a juvenile detention centre.
It was. And you can see why someone like Zlatan would come in and be like, when he mentioned like the way he spoke about Xavi and Iniesta and Messi, it was like schoolboys. You kind of do get it. You can see this sort of the process, the indoctrination that takes place there. And that, Messi though, is on. Is he eating what? Is he vegan now or something?
Yeah.
Hector Bellerin's a vegan. Fair play.
Back to your question, City. I just think they're going to go for it this year.
Fair.
Or
So you've
Liverpool.
You've gone an English side, Duke.
I said Man City before the season started on Sunday Vibes, and I'll stick with it. Man City.
Respect.
Look at these little ringlets on the side of his
I know. I
head.
need to
Tuck
get
them
my
back in.
Need to get my head
take
shaved
off.
End board time.
Anyway, that was Continental Club for this week, guys.
Longest
Thank you
quickfire questions of all
for
time.
staying tuned. Yeah, we're going to make this one a short episode, but actually, decent questions from you guys. So
Thanks very much.
Thanks. What else is going on in Eurofootball Daily world?
Dig, you take that one?
Come back tomorrow for Stat Wars the League. I take on Joe Tomlinson and nearly punch him. It gets pretty heated.
He actually said this morning when he came in the office, he really gets under my skin. Yeah, he has the ability really to get under my skin, which is definitely not limited to do. What about you?
Well, guys, we're back. FDFC is fucking back. I shouldn't have sworn there. I do apologise. I do apologise if you're editing it. Whatever. But anyway, it's deserved because we're off to go play our second ever game later today. Make sure you're checking out our socials. They're probably on screen right now, and FDFC's Instagram, where you'll probably see some behind the scenes as well there. But you won't know the scoreline until the video goes live.
True. Which maybe next
if we don't
week,
get battered.
2 weeks.
If we get battered, the video ain't going out.
Yeah,
Right.
fair play.
Do you think you can last a 90?
We've got not in current shape. Absolutely not.
I'm a right back. I don't push forward that much. I could last 90, I think.
You lasted 90, one of the few players to last 90 against.
I did against Soccer AM.
Soccer AM. I did about 70 in 3 different stages. Right, so yeah, that's it for this week. Go and check out Personal Mastermind as well. Loads of them live now on FDFC, where we put footballers to the test. How well do they know themselves? Oh, good idea, I know.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.